Yellow, Chiron here. As I mentioned in my last video, we're actually going to be talking a little bit about adding with comparators, which can get a little tricky since they only compare and subtract. But we can use a little trick called inversion. Let me show you a little bit about what I'm talking about. So if we have a signal, any signal at all, if we're going to invert this, let me just go ahead and connect this up over here. And our signal is actually going to come from this item frame, just so we can see what it looks like. If we're going to invert something, we need to make it the opposite. That's what inverting something means. So if we take that signal and instead of putting, the signal through a comparator, we're going to go put it on the side, just like that. And we're going to subtract it from a full signal strength. So instead of having our 1 over here, we're going to have 14. Let me go ahead and hook this up over here so we can take a look at it. We need a block here, this here, and let's move that just like this. So as you can see here, now whenever we change this, if we change this to 2, so for every one that is on in our input signal is off in our output. So that is now an inverted signal. And that's just all the way. Now, because we have an inverted signal, again, we can't add to this signal, but we can subtract from the inverted signal. That inverted signal is now the opposite, so by doing the opposite thing to it, we'll actually get what we want. We'll actually be adding to the original signal. So if we instead subtract our little input over here, just like this, we'll have another item frame to have our nice little input. So if we subtract that instead of adding it to the opposite signal, then now we can have the inverted of the two added together. Now again, we don't want the inverted, we want the actual signal. So then we have to flip it back. And we're going to go ahead and do that again with subtracting from the side from a full signal to get that opposite signal again. So if we go ahead and pump that signal over here so we can take a look at it. Oh, get some redstone. Get rid of the inverted signal so that we can just look at these two. So as you can see there, we have 1 plus the 1 on that one is 2. And if we increase this, okay, so now that's a 3. Let's go ahead and make this one 3. So that's 3 plus the 3 is now 6. And this will work all the way up through the 15. And the great thing is, this whole flipping it, subtracting, and then flipping it back integrates so well with that memory circuit that we were looking at in the last video. So if we actually go ahead and make ourselves that little memory circuit again, just like this. So you have a nice loop where there's no signal fade at all. That will give us our memory cell. And then if we take this signal and again subtract it from the side from a full signal, and then we go ahead and subtract whatever our input's going to be on this comparator, and then we subtract from another full signal and pump it right back into our memory cell, we now have the addition circuit right connected to that. So let's go ahead and put a input over here, and ta-da! It is now adding one at a time all the way up. And because we're only using one side of this, we can actually use the other side as a subtract to reset this. So let's go ahead and put that will subtract a full 15, so we'll reset it back to 0. And if we go like that, it'll reset the thing, and we'll just count up one at a time. Now I'm getting a little, tired of resetting it manually, so we'll just go ahead and throw in a comparator. Oops, not that. Comparator that will look at this signal and be like, okay, if that is equal to, let's say, I don't know, 15, then we will just let it through and reset itself. So now we have this counts up one at a time, and we'll just keep running. So again, just like the other subtracting on the memory cell, we can change this to 2, increment of 2, increment of 3. Whatever our input is, that is how fast it will go up. Now, a little trick is you actually don't have to have a full signal here. You can, so I already have these set up to 15 and 10. Wow. I actually like to use furnaces a lot because furnaces don't interact with redstone, so you could have a redstone wire, say, coming in here. And if you had a torch here, that would be a problem. It would mess up your whole circuit. But if we use furnaces, then that'll be... Now, furnaces are kind of annoying because filling this last slot, you have to pick your container based on what you're going to do. But back to what I was saying before. Got a little distracted. If we don't actually have to have this as a full 15 signal strength, we just have to make sure that whatever we're putting on this side, whatever we're flipping it with, we are flipping it back with the exact same number. So that was 15. This one's already preset up to go to 10. So if we set that at 10 and this one at 10, now, if you notice, it still goes up by 1. Let's go ahead and force this reset. Okay. So yeah, notice it's still going up by 1, but it will only go to 10 and stop. So if you only want to add to a specific number and then stop, this is how you do that. You just make sure, let me clean up my little area here. There we go. So you just make sure that this number and this number are the same, but whatever you want your circuit to stop at. I want it to add up to this and no more. And then, of course, if we want it to automatically reset, then we have to go over here and be like, we are not checking for a full 15 anymore. We are checking now for 10. So when you get to 10, reset. And that is your little addition circuit. It goes to 10, resets. 10 resets. Now I'm actually going to stop this so that the clock doesn't keep running while we're working on the next one. Now, you can actually compact this circuit and make it smaller than that over there. There's a little bit of an issue with doing that, but we'll talk about that a little bit. So first of all, again, we just need our continuous loop with no signal fade in between to make our memory circuit. But if we slide our addition circuit right up next to it, like this, let's go ahead and use our furnaces here. Make it nice, easy, right? So now we can have our input signal here, and notice we complete this loop. We now have a loop of comparators that has no signal fade. So we've got the memory circuit. We can use this as our subtract, reset, whatever. We can use this side as our addition, but there is a slight issue, and I'm actually going to have to make a little bit of a special circuit here. Go like this, and this. Oh, come here. There you go. And then on this side. So what this side, we're going to set this to subtract and make a button. Like that. What this side is doing is just making it so it fades, the signal fades 1 and makes sure that this coming out here is always going to be 1. So we're only going to be increasing this by 1. That's what this side is doing, is it makes this signal 1. This side is actually a pulse limiter is the technical term for it, but it's just making sure it's short. Because if we make this too long, it'll just keep adding and adding and adding. So what this is going to do is going to do 1, 2 ticks, and then it's going to cut this off because it's going to subtract the whole thing. It's just going to be like, nope, shut off. Right? Now, that circuit over there, if we had this exact setup going into it, it would be 100% fine. But this one over here, because we are going through so many comparators to stabilize this signal, when we go with such a short signal, which is only 2 ticks, 2 redstone ticks here, then it will actually pulse like this. And that can be kind of a problem. Now, as you can see on the lamp here, it's not terrible, but you're also going to be having constant redstone updates. It can create a little bit of lag because you got a little clock here. So you want to avoid that. So if you're going to use this nice compact version, you actually have to make sure that it's at least 3 ticks going into this of length in your signal. So like this is fine. This works perfect. It'll do the job for you all day, every day. And you can actually have whatever kind of signal coming in here. So if you want to count the number of times that a certain signal, something happens, or whatever, you can measure it, send the pulse into here, and it will just count it for you. You know, the number of times someone presses a button, or what, I don't know. However you want to use this, you can track it that way. And again, this is a nice compact way to do it, but you have to make sure you have a slightly longer signal because the circuit's a little bit slower. Most of the time it's not going to be a problem, but sometimes it might be. So I just want to make sure that you were aware of that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the vertical version. So if you remember, we had the vertical, oh wait, there we go. Yes, got it. So we had a vertical version of the, and I'm misplacing. Here we go. Yes. Okay, we're good. Don't worry about me, I got it. Right, so we got this vertical version of the memory circuit, and just like the horizontal version there, oh, really? Here we go. Got it. We can actually add that again. Now you can pull the signal either directly off of this dust, or actually, no, you can't pull it off this dust. Because if you pull it like this, that is no longer going to be powering this block, and it's going to be causing a problem for you. You, again, couldn't pull it off of this dust because it would be redirecting that power away from the block that you need it to go into. So if you just go like actually up here or down here, and then pull your circuit out of here, like this, and now to go back in here, you just put another dust in here, or block, or something, whatever, and then you go ahead and put your nice little furnace, and well, that was, yep. Why is this still holding? I'm confused. Oh, okay. So this has to be redstone dust if you're going to do it this way. I was thinking of when it's like this, because they can pull, this guy can pull the signal through. When you're going to the side of a comparator, it has to be dust or some sort of circuit thing. It can't be a block. My bad. Don't do that. It doesn't work that way. So you can do it this way, which is nice. And then, of course, you can have your signal coming in here. Either that or redstone dust, whatever. That will then do that. And actually, you know what? Just for a proof of concept, let's go ahead and get this up and running with an item frame. Beautiful. I broke the redstone dust. There we go. And there's that. So, I hope you found this very useful and helpful to be able to add with comparators. It's kind of something that is counterintuitive, but it works, and it's very powerful and very useful to be able to both add and subtract from these memory circuits, different numbers, different whatever you want to track, whatever you want to keep track of. And so hopefully that will help you invent brand new amazing redstone things. In the next video, I'm planning on talking about transmitting these redstone signal strength over long distances without having to have a comparator every 3 blocks, because that just slows down your signal strength, or your transmission, slows down your whole circuit a lot. So I hope to see you in my next video, and I will catch you later.